buds, and welcome to a very special episode of the Harsh Vocals Podcast. Christian is here with me, of course, and we're also joined by our good friend Steve Wiener, who you may know from a variety of bands, including Ashenheart, Am I in Trouble, Negative Bliss, and Wince Frisson, and Eveale, of course, his most recent project. There's too many to remember, Steve.
That's a lot. That's an awful lot.
Well, thanks for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
This has been in the pipeline for a long time. I mean, we've been talking for 2.5 years now, almost, ever since the last Negative Bliss EP came out. And we've become friends. We talk on Discord all the time. So really excited to finally have you on the show and talk about your multitude of projects and everything that's going on.
Thank you. Me too.
All right. Well, Christian's going to start us off with some questions. So I'll pass it over to him.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that people tuning into this episode are understanding what your latest album, Facets, is. And, you know, with it being a remix album that reimagines the tracks from the debut into something wildly different. If a listener enjoyed your previous album but hasn't heard Facets yet, what would you tell them to expect that's familiar and what might surprise them?
Okay. So Facets is a remix album of the debut Am I in Trouble album, Spectrum. And I think the main thing people should go into it expecting is that it's not metal, mostly. I mean, Spectrum itself covered a lot of ground, not all metal per se, but Facets very much came out of collaboration with a lot of artists that I met through the music platform Ampwall. So originally the album, I didn't have any plan to even do the album. It was completely unintentional, but two artists that I became friends with through Ampwall, Voidscan and Imrir, had reached out just asking to do remixes for fun. And I was like, yeah, that sounds really cool. Like I've never been part of like the remix culture. It's like such a big scene in like electronic music and other genres, but it's something that's so foreign to me. So, you know, I was eager to see what they would come up with. And they both made really cool new versions of two songs from Spectrum, which we subsequently released just as an EP called Gray, because it was the songs White and Black. So I thought it would be cute to name it Gray. But then they were both like all gung-ho to do more. They were like, let's remix, you know, let's swap songs and each do a remix of the song that the other did on the Gray EP. So from there, I just wound up putting out an open call in the Ampwall Discord saying, is anyone else interested in remixing songs from Spectrum? And like 14 other artists jumped in, and it was all these people that I become friends with over the years through that Discord group. And, you know, it was a little scary actually, because, you know, it was all musicians that I respected and had listened to their music and trusted that they're professional and that they're talented and everything. But I really had no idea what they were going to come up with. It feels a little strange calling it an Am I in Trouble album, because I personally didn't do all that much.
Did you plan the order of the songs at least? Yes.
I was very, very, very invested in planning out the order. And, you know, that was a lot of fun. And I really wanted to like balance out like the more ambient tracks, the instrumentals versus the tracks with vocals, the tracks that are more like metal or rock leaning versus the tracks that aren't. And I'm really happy with how that came out. But overall, yeah, it's been like a really interesting adventure. It wound up taking almost a year just because, you know, everyone works at a different pace. And we created this separate sub-conversation group where everyone was like sending works in progress of their remixes and stuff. And even each artist mixed their own track. So once I got all the songs finally, they were all completely different levels, like totally different volume levels, like completely different like sonic profiles. And thankfully, the owner of the record label that released it, whose name is Brooks, and the label is Shift Control Music, he also runs a studio. And wound up mastering the whole album, and his mastering job was like a real feat. I'm blown away by his ability to manage to balance out all these different mixes and make it all smooth and flow together and sound like a cohesive piece. Yeah, it was a ride.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So all the bands you met through Ampwall, and I've been involved in the Ampwall community as well for a while. People out there may not even know what Ampwall is. Do you want to talk about it for a minute?
Sure. Ampwall is probably the easiest way to describe it is like a Bandcamp alternative. It was founded by Chris Grigg, who a lot of metal people probably know because he's the frontman of the black metal band Woe and the drummer of the band Glorious Depravity. But he's also a very talented web developer, and he got together like a great team of other developers who are largely from metal backgrounds. So when the platform started, a lot of people perceived it as like a largely metal platform. That's kind of shaken loose as the platform's grown. But in general, I think a lot of people have been drawn to it because there's no venture capital funding, there's no larger corporate ownership. It's owned by the people who run it, and they're all musicians and visual artists. So they develop the platform largely from the mindset of the person who's going to be using it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people are hungry for that right now because Bandcamp has gone through 2 different corporate acquisitions in the span of a year and a half or something. Epic Games bought it and then barely held onto it for a year before selling it to Songtradr. So, that freaked a lot of people out. When Songtradr bought it, they wound up firing like a huge number of employees, and the majority of them were members of the union there, including all the people who were responsible for union negotiation. So they basically like cut off the union's ability to negotiate. So, that scared a lot of people.
Understandably.
So, there's been an interesting rise in the past couple of years of platforms similar to Bandcamp who are maybe trying to break free of the corporate backing side of it. So, there's another platform I'm also a fan of called Merlot that, is fairly similar, but the people who run it they're good people. They have good intentions and the platform works well. So, I'm all for it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's all the stuff that matters.
Yeah.
I like Ampwall because it's a way easier place to discover smaller bands. A lot of our extreme submissions for the show come from bands that we've talked to on Ampwall or through the Ampwall Discord, or discovered our podcast through promotion on Ampwall. So I'm all about that platform as well. I think it's fantastic.
That's really cool. And, the thing that I'm also really excited about with Ampwall and Merlot is they're both just hardline anti-generative AI. Which,
as everyone should be.
Yes, they should.
And, it's been a mess with streaming services, like a total disaster, all the AI stuff. The only streaming platform that's even remotely trying to do anything about it is Deezer.
Mm-hmm.
And even Bandcamp just dragged their heels for ages to make any statement about it. And when they finally did, they only banned AI music. So, you go into Bandcamp's Explore page and it's just like awash with these awful AI images for cover art now. And, it's just really deflating. Like, cover art is like the entry point for people to music most of the time. It's, the artist is like just as important as the musicians themselves. So
100%.
Devaluing that is kind of demoralizing from the biggest independent music platform out there right now.
Yeah, I wish people would stop with this AI bullshit. It's too damn much.
Yeah.
It's getting better too. I mean, it's getting better at disguising itself, I would say. Like,
yes,
we had a album we talked about last week, Abandoned Agony. The artwork looks like it's AI. I mean, it screams AI. If you go and research it, it was done by an artist. So, I mean, I don't know if that artist used AI, but there's no way to really know. I mean, sometimes it's apparent, but sometimes you just can't tell. And I hate that.
Yeah, it really messes with your perception of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, it does.
I think it's causing like a desire in a lot of people consuming art to want more, I hate this word, but like content that covers like the process. You know, you see a lot more visual artists now like creating videos of them literally like
Yes.
doing
Drawing it.
their,
Yeah.
you know, in these time lapse videos, or musicians like sharing behind the scenes stuff of themselves recording. And I think stuff like that is like more meaningful than ever, because it just like flat out shows like I'm a person, I'm
Yep.
creating this stuff, I'm a real human being.
But it's also extra strain on the artists. I mean, it's more work
Yep.
they have to do to prove themselves to the world, and they shouldn't really have to do that. They should be able to just create and have people enjoy their creations.
Yeah.
It's really unfair in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
AI is unfair to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, I got another question for you for the new album. This album genre hops like a 6-year-old on ADHD. So, do you feel Facets successfully balances the variety and the cohesion that's necessary, or do you feel it requires a listener already invested in Spectrum?
That's an interesting question. You know, I think it really depends on who, like the background of the listener. I think like a metal listener who maybe stumbles upon the album by accident and just sees it like in a list of like new metal releases, and then they go to listen to it, they're probably going to be like, what the fuck is this? You know,
Yeah.
like the first track that is even remotely metal adjacent is the third track, and it's still like probably closer to like industrial rock.
Mhm.
So, you know, I apologize to any like metal fan out there who came upon the album by chance and didn't know the source material.
Yeah.
But, you know, I when I finally decided to do the album, I really tried to think about like where remix albums fall in like the history of metal itself. And, you know, for people who may not know Am I in Trouble, you know, I started this band largely as a love letter to like the avant-garde metal that came out of the Scandinavian black metal scene, mostly in like the late 90s and early 2000s. And, you know, the main calling card of all the bands that were active in that time, like Arcturus and Soulfald, was that they didn't really stick to one particular thing. They just kind of followed wherever their inspiration took them. And part of that is the fact that, kind of bucking the odds amongst their peers, a number of them did release remix albums, which for the time was really weird. And like I look back on that and I was like, that's really cool. I want Facets to be like my own little ode to that. So like Soulfald released the remix album, Ulver did, which, you know, is probably less surprising to people because they never really stuck to a genre to begin with. Arcturus did. So, you know, in my heart, Facets is my own little take on that.
That's cool. It's a good approach. Spectrum, of course, is more of a traditional metal, quote unquote, album, you know, and we're big fans of it. I mean, every song is very different because each one kind of encapsulates the emotions that are associated with the color, right? I mean, that was the whole point in Spectrum. And so listening to some of these, I feel like in the newer album, some of the emotional tie to the color has been lost a little bit. It's not really capturing the same level of emotion that you put into it. But at the same time, it does add some different takes to it. Like some of the songs are more aggressive than what you came up with. Some of the songs are more ethereal, you know. And so I like the remix of it. You know, I didn't like every single song. Some of them were a little too soft for me. But there were certainly some standouts. Like I really enjoyed your collaboration with Gary from Gonemage. Cobalt is a lot of fun. The Pearl remix from the band you mentioned before. How do you say that? Imrir?
Yeah.
I think that was my favorite of all of them because they kind of stayed true to the sound of Pearl while also expanding on it. And it kept the same sort of emotional aspect that Pearl had. I also really liked Magenta, which was Megafauna's remix. Is that the Megafauna from Austin?
No, Megafauna is from British Columbia, Canada.
Okay. There's another band with the same name down here who I've seen live a couple of times, so I didn't know if it was the same one. I was curious about that.
Megafauna is an interesting artist. His albums are some of the most disturbing music I've ever listened to.
That's a selling point.
It's all experimental electronic music, but just, I don't know. He has this way of capturing this really unnerving sense of despair that I don't hear from other artists. And there are songs of his that emotionally feel heavier than a lot of metal bands, even though it's not maybe musically heavy. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. And yeah, his remix is fascinating because like when I first heard it, I described it to him as, when I listen to it, I imagine like wandering through this dark place where I'm lost and I stumble upon some creepy mansion, and every room I enter in the mansion, some other bizarre, disturbing thing is happening. So each different musical detour that song takes is a different room in this horrible mansion.
I can kind of envision that kind of fits with the flow of the song, I think.
Yeah, it really goes like a lot of different places.
Very interesting.
I was wondering about the title Facets, because it kind of suggests, different sides of a person or an experience. Mm-hmm. What does the title mean to you?
Pretty much that, except, I was kind of toying with, the fact that Spectrum and the song titles are just colors, and the album art is like a lot more like bold, clear, separate colors. So when all the pieces for Facets started to come together, I realized it would be like a really cool opportunity for me to work with Alex Loach, who's in some of the other bands I'm in, but he's also an amazing painter. And I had seen a number of his pieces. Yet another reason why I like Ampwall, they support visual artists. You can actually have an artist page as a visual artist, the same way a band can have a music page as a band. Mm-hmm. So I learned because of Ampwall that Alex is a visual artist too, and he has an entire page on Ampwall just devoted to his paintings. And his paintings are also extremely colorful, but whereas Ava Darren's art for Spectrum is very clean and the colors are like fairly, they blend together, but they're a lot more discreet. Mm-hmm. Alex's work is an explosion of color, just sporadic, sprawled all over the place, a lot less form to it. And I saw this one painting that he did called Eclectic, and I just fell in love with it. And I was like, this is perfect. This would be such a good spin on Spectrum to use as the Facets album art. And, the word Facets just popped out to me as, every remix is a different facet of the source material color. So, yeah, I don't know. It just made sense.
Well, that's what I got from it. So.
Nice.
Well, speaking of Alex, he's kind of become your main co-conspirator across all your bands lately, because he's the other half of Eveale. You're working with him in Ashenheart. Yep. He's obviously heavily involved in Am I in Trouble now. And recently you got the opportunity to meet him, right? You flew across the pond, as they say, and went to Fortress Fest and spent a week hanging out. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was great. So Alex Loach, like Justin said, he did the artwork for Facets. He was a guest vocalist on Spectrum. And then now he and I have the band Eveale, and we just released our debut album, Enter the Woodland Realm. And he's the lead vocalist of Ashenheart, which I joined after they released their debut. So yeah, we finally got to meet in person after working together for years now. I flew over to the UK. I stayed at his house, and we went to Fortress, and it was just great. I mean, for all the crummy things about the internet that exists nowadays, I gotta give credit where it's due, or some good things come out of the internet. Because, I met you guys, and like you said, he is one of my main conspirators when it comes to music, and I never would have met him had it not been for the internet and social media.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was a great time. It was really cool to go over there and just get to spend time with him in person finally.
Nice. I mean, this show wouldn't exist without the internet. So
Very true.
There's that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Actually, this show wouldn't exist if we hadn't both listened to the same album on the same week and gone on the same podcast to talk about it, and both been so enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Sidon's
Onryo 2 is the impetus for this show even existing. Yes.
Oh my gosh. And what was the podcast?
We have a mutual
Metal
friend, Kerry Gordon. He runs MSRcast and Metal Geeks. It actually used to be the official podcast for Metal Injection back in the day, but now it's a standalone thing that he does. And so we both went on there as friends. We had never really met before. And we had both listened to that album. We're super excited about it and both just raved about it and kept talking afterwards and became friends. And then when I decided to do Harsh Vocals, I mean, Christian was the obvious pick because our tastes are so aligned.
Wow.
Yep.
That's so cool.
And then 60 episodes later, here we are.
Amazing.
And
What a nice story.
we've become friends with the guys in Sidon too. So, I mean, it's all kind of serendipitous.
That's awesome.
I will be seeing them next month here in Des Moines.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah, they're actually going to stop here. Which song from your first album pairs best with a song from Facets?
Ooh.
Like if you listen to them back to back.
Interesting question. You know, I mean, like Justin said, there are some songs that stay a little closer to their source material, like Imrir's cover. It's sort of like a cover. Imrir's remix of White. So, you know, on one side of the coin, it's a little interesting to take a song like White and then listen to the remix because you can kind of hear how, you know, slightly more subtle changes can impact a song. I feel like in some ways Imrir pulled out a lot of the traits of that song that make it more metal and almost turn the song more into like a progressive rock song. So, you know, I think that's an interesting choice. But then on the flip side of that, I think it's kind of fascinating to take a song that the Facets version is just completely different. Red from Spectrum is a pretty through and through black metal song, just with the kind of peculiar structure. And then the remix that Exit Chamber did is just like, I would never even know that the
source material was
parts
black
of
metal.
Yes. I still struggle to even hear the source material in that, but I think it's an incredible piece. It feels like early 2000s Ulver, just this oppressive, haunting, harsh noise experience. And the fact that, you know, he was able to take the stems from Red and reimagine it into that just like blew my mind.
What would you say was the most challenging thing about creating Facets?
I think like ego related stuff.
Relinquishing control.
Yeah, because, you know, of all the bands that I have, Am I in Trouble is the most like just purely me. You know, it is essentially a solo project. Everything that comes out of that band is my idea. You know, even the drums that Chris Barber plays, like I'm sending him demos with program drums to start with. So, you know, there's a foundation there. Obviously he embellishes and improves upon it, but the original ideas all come from me. So, you know, to create this album that's suddenly me just like giving over all my audio files to a bunch of other people like all over the world and trusting them to make something that I like, and then, you know, grappling with the worry of what if they send something back and I don't like it, you know, like just all the like emotional things that come with that. It's very different from just, I'm making a solo album, I can do whatever I want, whatever makes me happy, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I was actually kind of wondering about that. Was there one collaborator that when you got it back, you were just floored? You're just like, holy shit. I would have never gone there, but man, this is good.
I feel like I had that reaction to almost everything, all for different reasons. I think the one that just like comes to mind off the top of my head, when Negative Agent sent back his remix of Red, that one really just, it was so different than anything I would have imagined. And I feel like he took the parts of the song and restructured it to create something that's really impressively catchy. He took certain vocal lines that are more just like these little moments in the song and instead turned them into hooks, fully fledged hooks. That song, that's one of the reasons why I made it a single before the album came out, because I was like, this song is like a full-blown industrial banger.
Yeah.
And that one just really blew me away. He delivered an incredible mix. It just sounds huge and pumping, and it's not a style of music I listen to, but it was just undeniably awesome.
Yeah, I'd say that there's probably my favorite song on the album.
Nice.
I like that one a lot.
Nice. Well, circling back to Am I in Trouble being your solo project initially, how did you come up with that name?
So the band is funny because technically, if you had to say like when it formed, it really started in 2010, which sounds ridiculous because I didn't release Spectrum till 2025. But back in 2010, I was doing music stuff that was like completely unrelated to metal. I was like trying to make a career out of music, but had been trying to do so by really compromising on what I actually enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing a lot of pop music production because at the time I really believed that, that was the way to make a living.
Yeah.
If I was going to do music and make a living off of it. And I was not happy, but, I just was chugging along with it for a while. But I was working on Am I in Trouble stuff in my own time, and I didn't really have a name for it at the time. But then I was working retail at a video rental store. And this one day, I was working alone. It was the middle of the day. And this guy comes into the store, and he just like wandered around the store for a while. And then comes over to the counter, and he was like unbelievably tall. I'm not a tall guy. I'm 5'5", but he was like really tall. So he comes over to the counter. He's towering over me, and he's just got this completely checked out, dazed look in his eyes. And I'm just standing there like, what is happening right now? And there's no one else in the store. If something weird is about to happen, I'm all alone. And he just like leans over the counter and goes, "Am I in trouble?" and then leaves.
That was it?
Yeah.
What a bizarre encounter.
And honestly, that one encounter I was like, that was so fucking weird. And for some reason, that phrase just stuck in my head. And when I was like finally trying to come up with a name for this project, I don't know, for some reason that encounter resonated with me. and I used it.
That was the universe sending you a band name.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess so. With this being basically a solo project, which artists or albums had the biggest influence on this project?
I think in terms of the sound of the project, probably the Wintersorg album. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but Solens Rotter.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't thought about that album in a long time. Holy shit.
It's such a beautiful album, and it has such a like light, airy quality to its production that I don't hear very often in anything around black metal or folk metal or progressive metal. And just, I go back to that album so often. And when I was mixing Spectrum, I was like, I want to get somewhere in that realm of sound. But that's just in terms of the sound. In terms of the philosophy behind the album, probably something by Psy. I'm not sure what album I would pick off the top of my head, but just the general mindset and approach of like Psy and Thy Kara Falk, where they just the main guys behind those projects just decide we're going to do whatever the hell we want on every album. Every Kata Falk album, just every song is completely different.
Yeah.
Somehow it all sounds like the same project. And Psy, sometimes each song will sound completely different, or there might be like 3 kind of thrashy black songs in a row, but each song has these weird detours throughout that just completely do unexpected stuff. And again, it just somehow works. So that was like partly my philosophy, where I was just like, I don't really care how people take this album. Some people might hate it or think it's stupid or too weird or unfocused, but this is just for me. So,
which is how it should be.
I think most of the best albums, from solo artists come out that way, if you're writing it for yourself and not for other people.
Right. Yeah, Devin Townsend's great at that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. When you're writing a new song, what usually comes first? Riff, vocal idea, the lyrical theme, or something else entirely?
Oh. Usually musical stuff. I tend to write lyrics to the music, but it's pretty 50-50. If it's a song that has predominantly clean vocals, a lot of the time I'll just like be going about my day and a melody will start forming in my head and I'll just sing it into my phone's voice notes app. And then when I get the chance to sit down with a guitar, I'll figure out that melody on guitar first and then kind of work backwards and figure out a chord sequence that supports the melody in the way that I want it to. And then once I figure out those chords, start developing more interesting guitar parts that aren't just strumming chords. And that's pretty much the typical way. Occasionally it'll start with a guitar riff, but less often.
I can see that. I mean, Justin and I are constantly talking about how, the level of talent in metal right now is just completely off the charts. And you can go anywhere with it anymore. You can mix black metal with just about anything and it'll work. Yeah. I mean, I would have never thought, Wayfair mixing black metal with Western would work. And my God, does it work? It works very well.
Good.
Yeah. And it's obviously to their level of talent. And it's just so sad that, metal isn't as big as it was in the 80s or whatever, when people were making millions at this. But it just kind of also shows that, we all know that there isn't a lot of money in this, but you still have artists doing this and trying to make it work.
Yeah.
It just shows how much they really love the music.
It's all about passion.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yep. It is really fascinating, like seeing the differences between, people who are really in metal and their awareness of how diverse it can be versus like people who aren't metal people and like what their perception of it is.
Yeah.
There are a lot of like parents of my kids' friends, for instance, that I might talk to at their schools or something. And, they might be people who have zero exposure to metal. And if they hear that I'm in like a metal band, like one of them said to me, like, "Oh, like Five Finger Death Punch."
Ugh.
I was like, no, not like Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah.
But that's their frame of reference. I've also gotten like, "Oh, like Metallica," and I'm like, "Okay, sure."
Yeah,
like
kinda.
It's not just, in person too, because I've had that experience myself in the real world so many times. They're like, "Oh, you like metal, like Pantera?" I live in Texas, so everybody assumes Pantera is like the end all be all, but online even. I mean, I'm trying to meet people and promote the show and talk about metal with people on social media and stuff. And you see all these people who have huge metalhead in their bio, and then you go and look and it's like, I like Sleep Token and Evanescence. And it's like, well,
right.
You're adjacent, but you're not going to like hearing about suffocation from me. Like,
Yep. And I get that a lot. Because I mainly listen to, underground stuff. And so I can turn around and say all day long, all these bands, and 9 times out of 10, I just get this blank look, I got no idea who that is. And to me, it seems like they're way bigger than they are.
For sure.
Like me seeing Grave Ripper last night, I was like, how the fuck is there only 15, 20 people here? And, to me, it should be 100 people, at least.
Yeah, it's fascinating. That's another thing about the internet that's just so interesting is like how there can be this like such huge disconnect between in-person experiences and like perceptions online, whether it be like bands who have really slick content on their social media pages or have tons of followers, or you go on their Spotify and they have 50,000 monthly listeners, and then you go to a show and there's 50 people there.
Yep.
And it really is just a case of like both things can be true.
Yes, they can.
It's hard to build a following doing anything,
Yeah.
And I mean, when you're doing music, since everything is subjective, it's even harder, I'd imagine. So, I mean, when these bands build their following, I think it's a lot easier to do it on the internet than it is in person. I mean, it used to be you would tour and that's how you would gain followers, but you go to tours. I mean, even cost-effective shows with bands that I would consider relatively big bands in the underground, you go and see them and there's 50 to 100 people every single time. And it's just sad. I mean, I know that those bands are doing really well online, but none of them are making a livable wage off, one album a year, if that.
Right. Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Especially considering how good the music is. I grew up in the 80s. I'm 57 years old, so I was 13, 14, 15, when heavy metal was exploding. And the music is so much better now. It is ridiculous how much better the music is. And, there's a lot of dudes my age that will swear up and down, nothing's better than Rain and Blood. But it's very good. I'll give you that. It is very good. And I would have said it was, one of my favorite albums of all time at a certain point. But it doesn't hold a candle to a lot of stuff that's coming out today. It's just not the same.
The nature of progress, I guess.
Yeah.
People are just always eager to explore more. And I mean, that's one of the cool things about seeing some of these bands live is like when you realize that they're able to pull it off live. Because like so much music sounds so good recorded that I can understand why like people who maybe grew up longer ago might be like, oh, music now is so edited and polished and, it's not real anymore. But like even just seeing Fires in the Distance and they just were picture perfect. Like they sounded exactly like the record. Like it's all real talent.
There's plenty of, lo-fi production stuff out there too. If you don't want to hear super polished music. I mean, I honestly feel like we're in the golden age of metal right now because there's less barrier to entry. Anybody who wants to write or create anything can do it from their living room. You don't have to have a sound studio, and you have decades of inspiration to draw from. Those people that were creating in the 80s and 90s that, were the generators of all this stuff, they were extremely creative and they created these masterpieces, but they had really no inspiration to draw from except for, some blues and harder rock stuff. Now you have all that to look back on. And it's like the stuff that people come up with these days, it just gets more and more creative and more impressive, in my opinion.
It's really amazing.
Well, I mean, back in the day, Steely Dan used to, their recording process was so overly complicated that they couldn't play live, and that's one of those things that they would take months and months and months to record an album. But, that was pop music. So it is what it is, I guess.
Right.
Speaking of live acts, I know you've done some shows with Negative Bliss. Some of your other projects are obviously going to be way harder to do live, but do you have any plans to try to do any sort of live performances with any of your other bands?
So I actually just announced yesterday on Blue Sky that Am I in Trouble is booked for a show.
Oh, cool.
In 2027. It's a festival show. I can't really go into detail yet, but it's happening.
That's awesome.
Which I'm very, very, very excited about. It's about a year away, so it gives me and the other people who are going to be in the live band time to really prepare. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm stoked about that because, when Spectrum came out, I was like, I can't believe this album's finally out. It took me like 15 years of working on it on and off, and the fact that it was finally reality. But now to go one step further and be like, oh wow, like I'm actually going to get to play live. I couldn't believe it.
That's so cool, man. Are you going to do the full album for the show? Or?
Yeah, I'm going to plan to do just like an album playthrough, at least to start, considering we have a year to prepare, like if some other idea comes up as we're prepping, that's fine. But I think starting off with an album playthrough is a cool way to make our live debut, and it feels appropriate for a festival. That's such a common thing at fests nowadays, where it'll be like, blah, blah, blah band, live debut, full album set of whatever. So yeah, I think it'll be great, assuming I can play well.
Is your wife going to perform too?
No.
No?
No, her only involvement in Spectrum was lyric writing.
Okay.
She's not a musician, but she did write the lyrics to Pink. And then in terms of like Eveale, Alex and I really want to figure out a way to perform. It becomes a lot more complicated, obviously because of the travel part, but not the other thing that didn't even occur to us originally was the fact that like visa issues, like for him to come, if we were to try to perform in the US, he would have to pay $1,000 for a work visa to perform here. So we were like, okay, maybe not the US. Apparently it's much cheaper visa wise for me to perform in the UK. And then the last piece of the puzzle there was us being like, well, our record label's in Canada, and apparently there's no visa issues going to perform in Canada. There's no additional cost. So, if Hypaethral Records decides to do some sort of showcase,
that'd be awesome.
And Alex and I could get our shit together and get like a live band, then maybe we'll play in Canada one day.
Hey, Canada's got, from my understanding, Canada has a fantastic underground metal scene too. So
yeah, it does.
I think you would do really well there.
Hypaethral Records has such a great roster of bands, and I didn't realize at first how many of them are based in Canada. So yeah, if we could go there to play one day, but we'd need to find a live drummer and another guitarist and a bassist. So
lots of logistics.
It can happen.
Yeah, it can happen. I never thought it would happen with Am I in Trouble, and yet here we are. So
that's really cool. I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Ashenheart, I can't imagine happening just because, there's 4 of us and we're all in completely different places and we don't have a drummer. Negative Bliss has 2 shows coming up this summer. So, that's the one band that is old reliable because we all live in the same town.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Wince Frisson, I like to think it could happen. Our like makeup of our band, that band is very interesting because the band is like very much primarily the other guy. His name's Try. Like he wrote all the songs, he plays the guitar, he does all the vocals, he writes all the lyrics, he plays the bass. Like really the way I wound up getting my way into that band was just because he was looking for someone to help with the production end of it. And I liked what I was hearing so much that I reached out and I was like, I think I could help you. Like he had another guy at first and the guy like bailed on him. So he was really desperate. And I was like, I think I could help you. And, we became friends. And eventually he was like, can I make you like an actual band member? And it's kind of unorthodox because my role in the band is literally just drum programming and mix and master. You don't usually get like the mix and master guy as a band member, but
yeah. Well, that's so far, right? I mean, on the next album, maybe you'll do backup vocals or something.
Oh, I actually am doing backing vocals too. I forgot about that, but we do. If we were to pull something off live, I think if we found a drummer, then we could have a drummer, me on bass just for live purposes, and him on vocals and guitar. And that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And he's down in North Carolina. So, it wouldn't be that much of a trip for me to go down there.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah. So live is an option for in varying degrees with all these bands.
Well, what about Negative Bliss? Do you guys have any sort of new music on the horizon? Because it's been a little while.
We do. We're definitely slower moving than other projects. I think partly because there's more members and we all have kids and families, and some of us have more schedule intensive jobs than others. Like our drummer is a history teacher in high school. So, especially during the school year, he's just like always working.
Yeah.
But we just a few days ago actually confirmed with the record label we're working with like a ballpark release date for a full length. We're really like heavy into writing mode. I think the album is going to be really, really cool. And I think on one hand, it will feel reminiscent of our EP, but I also think it's so much better. I feel like we've grown so much as a band and as friends and our chemistry together that I'm really excited about it. And, the reality is I don't think we'll actually have the album done till later 2027. But even the fact that we've like internally set a deadline and kind of have that to look forward to makes it all feel a lot more real. Because like for a little while we were very kind of just like nebulous and loose and just like, we're just getting together and playing and we'll see what comes of it. But finally this past week we were like, all right guys, we're setting a deadline. We have a plan in place. We've got a horizon to look out on and, meet eventually.
That's great.
So I'm stoked about that.
Yeah, I loved the first Negative Bliss EP, so I'm very much looking forward to a full length.
Thank you. Me too.
I enjoyed it as well.
Thank you.
All right. If someone discovers Am I in Trouble through Facets and can only hear one other song from your entire catalog, which song would you point them toward and why? That includes all of your bands.
Hard questions.
All bands, period?
Yeah, all of your bands. Who would you point them to if they got into you through Facets?
Oh, geez. I mean, I hate to be like me focused, but I'd probably go with an Am I in Trouble song, and I'd probably go with Pink because I feel like that song just like very neatly encapsulates my personality as a musician, in the sense that on the surface it's a fairly serious sounding black metal song, but it's also got like pepperings of strange elements like the harp, and it's got this long bridge that's basically just a drone section, and then the fact that the lyrics are all about Kirby is just like I take my music very seriously, but at the same time I like to be a little silly. Yeah. I think that's pretty evident in the band name itself. Yeah. And I think my wife wrote really cool lyrics for that song because she just really thoroughly captured how, looking at Kirby from a different perspective, he's like a walking nightmare. Just traveling his world, eating everyone he meets.
Mm-hmm. That is crazy.
So yeah, probably Pink.
All right. The only other questions that I have are super quick questions that mean absolutely nothing. These are going to be super easy, just quick fire. Just add a little bit of fun. Just, this means absolutely nothing. So,
cool.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes, big time. I love it.
Favorite movie you've seen more than 5 times?
Probably Home Alone, maybe A Christmas Story. All my favorite movies are Christmas movies.
Interesting.
Really? That's interesting. Coffee or energy drink?
Coffee.
All right. If you could instantly master any instrument, what would it be?
Guitar.
Me too.
No,
and
drums.
I'm a drummer.
Sorry. Drums. Definitely drums.
I'm a drummer and I would pick guitar.
Interesting.
All right. I was going to say most overrated band, but that would be kind of mean. So let's go with most overrated band shirt color. black, white, or tie-dye?
Tie-dye.
Good call. I cannot stand the tie-dye shirts. I do.
Yeah, some people love them, and more power to them, but it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
I love a good colored band shirt, but I want a single color.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, Grave Ripper last night had a yellow shirt.
Yeah, yellow shirts are rare. I only have 2.
Yeah. Favorite junk food while recording?
Probably peanut butter filled pretzels. Like you can go to CVS and get those plastic bins with the screw top.
Oh yeah.
That's just filled with those, and the bin is like an obscene amount of pretzels, and I could probably eat the whole bin in the night.
I know the feeling.
They're
Cats
great.
or dogs?
Dogs. I'm allergic to cats.
There you go. Would you rather play a festival crowd of 50,000 people or a club packed with 100 diehard fans?
Oof, the club.
Yeah. What's the last song you listened to that wasn't metal?
Oh my gosh. I don't know the title, but probably a Gorillaz song, because my son is currently obsessed with Gorillaz. So literally every moment that he's home, he's in our living room with the record player just playing Gorillaz vinyls. And I'm inadvertently just hearing them all day.
Yeah.
There are worse things. It could be worse than Gorillaz for sure.
No, yeah. I really appreciate Gorillaz. They're great.
Yeah, my kids are all into EDM, hip hop, and I'm just like, where did I go wrong?
And my kid loves Elmo songs, so I'm listening to Sesame Street songs all day long.
Okay.
This is a good question. If Am I in Trouble was a breakfast cereal, which breakfast cereal would it be, or would you just make one up?
Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops. There you go.
The colors.
That's actually I actually had that in mind when I wrote that. What's the weirdest place you've ever gotten a songwriting idea?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I just started a new Eveale song a few days ago, actually, for our second album, and I wound up recording me humming all the guitar parts into my phone in the bathroom of the airplane flying back from England.
Oh, nice. A different kind of Mile High Club.
Yes.
Just the nerdy.
It's probably more exclusive too. Not a lot of people write songs in the bathroom on an airplane, I'd bet.
Probably not.
All right. Well, I've got a couple more questions for you. Number one, in Eveale, at least, you started out using a moniker, Northeast Wizard Tyrant. How did you come up with that?
Yes. That was all Alex. Alex is the aesthetic visionary but behind Eveale. He came up with the band name. He came up with the monikers. I mean, when we first started the band, we came up with this idea of doing it anonymously, partly because we just wanted to see how well it could do without it kind of like falling back on being like, oh, it's a side project from these other guys that we, are familiar with from these other bands. So we wanted to, test the waters there. So we knew we wanted some sort of aliases, but he came up with Moth first, and he actually lives on a hillside in England, like in the middle of the woods. So Moth wound up, stood for Monarch of the Hillside. So when we were trying to come up with a name for me, I was like, can we use the same format? So instead of a monarch, there was a tyrant. And then the hillside like location, we came up with the Northeast because I'm from New York. Yeah, and then the animal part, he just figured out Newt.
It worked.
And then for Chris, who's plays drums on the album, he came up with Basher at Things, which is bat.
All right. Well, we also like to always ask our guests, what have you been listening to recently? What are some of your favorite albums that have come out this year?
Okay, I mean, most recently the new Fires in the Distance, Circadian Promise, really beautiful album. And Fires in the Distance just creates they're a melodic death metal band at heart, or like doom death, but there's something about them that just sets them apart from other bands of that genre, for me at least. Like a dreamy quality that, I don't know, I think is really special. What else? The new Volcandra album, I absolutely adore. I don't know what it is about it, just the songwriting and the performances. Every song just is constantly stuck in my head. They're so catchy.
I think it's their strongest album so far. I really like that one too. I think we talked about it on the show before, but there's like one song on there that feels more like a Hellripper song than a Volcandra song, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, it's such a great album. What else? I mean, there's quite a few that wound up creeping up on me. There's the new, I don't know how to pronounce their name, IATT, IAT.
We just say IATT, but yeah, that one's fantastic too.
Yeah, that's great. The new Tyrannus album is great. The new Panopticon album is great. The new Gorillaz album, going back to Gorillaz, not metal, but fantastic album. There's a band I just discovered from FIA Productions called Miasma, or Miasme, who released this album, Keep Them at a Distance, and I just think it's fantastic. Scoured just released Still, which, if you like basically like a nightmare turned into music, then it's great.
I love that.
It's literally like a nightmare. It's fantastic. The new Ossomancer is awesome. There's a new band that has only released a single so far called Ucalegon. I think it's pronounced Ucalegon.
Yeah, we actually had that track as a submission on the show a few episodes ago. Yeah, Ucalegon, nice. Yes. I think.
Ucalegon. But I really like that track. I don't know.
Us too.
It's clicking for me. I don't know. There's been so much good stuff this year now that I kind of scroll through this collection on my phone. But those are probably the ones that have really been sticking with me the most. Oh, and the new Junon. I don't know how to say. They're a German band that play, I think they describe themselves as psychedelic black metal. But they just released an album on I Voidhanger Records called The Golden Citadel of the Astral Sphere. And it's really good.
I don't think I've heard that. When did that come out? Recently?
Very recently. I think like less than a month ago.
Huh. Sometimes stuff slips through the cracks. Yeah, that's not familiar to me either, but I will check that out.
It's really good.
Have you heard the new Malady album?
Hold on. That's Maladie?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds familiar, but I don't think I've... The Dance of Tragedies?
Yeah, I think it would be right up your alley. I really like that album a lot. I keep listening to it. It's very challenging, but it's super avant-garde. There's a lot of really jazzy parts. I think you'd dig it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I got to check it out. I'm going to add it now.
Cool.
I haven't heard it yet. It's so hard to keep track of everything.
You're telling us.
Especially this year, I've been trying to like the way I used to approach music when I was a teenager is I would kind of just find a record label I liked and then lock in on like everything they're releasing. And I've kind of gone back to that approach. So I've been like really exploring like Hypnotic Dirge's releases and Avant-Garde Music. That's another great label.
Yeah.
The labels I work with, Hypaethral Records and FIA Productions, just keep churning out great.
FIA has so many good bands.
It's too much. I don't understand how she releases so many albums a week. It boggles my mind.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And it's so funny, like working on the Eveale album with her and Hypaethral, because Hypaethral's like the exact opposite. They release like one album every 3 months, seemingly. But I don't know. It's incredible. It's a real skill. But yeah, that's a lot of the new stuff. And then just going back to old stuff. I mean, going to Fortress really, kind of sparked my urge to listen to some of these older things that I got to see live, like Vinterland, who played Fortress and were amazing. So I've been listening back to their album a lot. Gallobraid's album from 10.
I'm jealous you got to see Gallobraid perform live. I know they're playing Fires in the Mountains, or
yes,
yeah, but I don't think I'm going to be able to go. But
my wife and I are going, so I'm going to wind up seeing Galabraid twice in 1 year.
you got to be like one of 10 people in the world that could probably claim that.
Right. They were stupendous live. You know, he really pulled together a great live band, and it was just wild because they were so confident sounding when they played, but then whenever he would speak in between songs, he sounded so nervous, so humble, just like he felt he was completely giving off the energy of just like, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Yeah. They played some new tracks too, right?
Yes, they played 2 new songs, which people flipped out about. I'm sure he knew people would flip out.
Yeah.
You know, they played like 2 old songs and then was like, so a lot of you have probably noticed that our set is an hour long, but our album is only 40 minutes long. So we're going to play some new songs for you. And people just erupted.
I can imagine. That's so cool.
Oh my gosh.
Everyone
I never
has.
thought it would happen, honestly. It's mind blowing.
Well, what's next for you, Steve? I know you got a lot of projects, a lot of stuff in the pipeline.
I mean, the next closest thing is the Wince Frisson album. We've got 5 songs completely done, mixed and mastered. I have 2 more that I need to mix and master, and then, you know, we're just gonna listen to it a bunch, make sure we're happy with it, and then start shopping it around to labels, and, you know, hopefully have it out in a couple months. Probably release 1 more single, maybe 2 more singles. I don't know. But I'm excited about that one. It's nice to be able to take a backseat on the creative part of things and just help bring someone else's vision to life. And I just think he's really talented and doing something really unique. And he's just a really nice guy. He's a pleasure to work with. You know, it's nice to work with someone that I can also consider a friend.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked about that. You know, we've been working very slowly, but my old pop punk band Tuffy, we're working out some recordings finally. It'll be our debut after 20 years of existence.
Cool.
Thank you. It's going to be interesting, but I've been struggling lately with finding opportunities to record vocals just because of noise.
Yeah.
And children and noise and landscapers and construction and every other noise possible around my house.
That's the downside of recording at home.
Yes. It's one of the reasons the Eveale album happened, actually. As goofy as that sounds, when I first pitched the band to Alex, I was like, I want to start a project where I don't do anything that requires a microphone. So I was like, I'm only going to play guitar and only going to play bass. It's all direct input, no mics, no amps, no need to engineer anything like that. And it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out well. Yeah.
Wound up breaking my rule a little and doing a little bit of acoustic guitar, but not too much.
Well, whenever we close out a show, we like to ask our guests what track from their latest album we should play. So what track do you think from Facets kind of encapsulates the whole idea behind the album that you think we should play for our listeners?
Oh man, interesting question.
And I know that one's tough because you got so many collaborators.
Yes. I think since this is a metal podcast, I would probably pick Cobalt. Partly because, you know, it was a collaboration with Gonemage, and he, you know, is also a purveyor of peculiar black metal.
Yeah.
So I feel a kinship there.
Well, you two are 2 of the most prolific independent creators in the social media metal realm. You and Gary, like, just constantly putting out stuff.
I think Gary's got me beat. That guy, I don't know. Maybe because he doesn't have kids.
Yeah. That's probably what it is.
Oh my gosh. Just all the time, right? I forget about stuff he's released because he releases so much.
Mm-hmm.
He just started a new project not long ago called Lurplasm that's cyber grind. And it came up in my Instagram feed the other day. I was like, oh shit, I forgot about that. Because now he has a new Salamoth album coming out soon, and he got signed to Willowtip Records, which is huge. Yeah, he's a busy guy.
Yeah.
Very talented.
Super talented.
So yeah, Cobalt would be cool from Facets, because I think he did something really neat with the song Blue and really made it his own while still kind of keeping the essence of the song intact.
Yeah, I think so too. I like that one a lot, so that's a good choice.
My daughter described that song as sounding like lasers. And my friend Paul, who the other guitarist in Negative Bliss, described it as it sounds like it belongs on the soundtrack to The Matrix.
I can hear that. Yeah. Very like futuristic sounding version of the song.
Yes. Yeah. And I know Gary does a lot of stuff inspired by the era of music surrounding the PlayStation 1 specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So it fits. I think that was the Matrix time.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us today, Steve. It was a lot of fun to chat with you. And, you know, obviously I'm sure you'll keep us apprised on all of your upcoming projects, and we'll continue to help promote them and keep telling new artists to come to us too. Cause I know that a lot of our extreme submissions have come directly from you. So we really appreciate that.
Well, I'm happy to, if it's not a bother.
No, I mean, we love discovering new bands and helping to promote them. So that's what we're all about.
I was stoked to see you guys featuring the Biscuit Merchant.
Oh yeah. Justin's a cool guy. We really like him.
He is. And speaking of prolific people, I don't understand how he does what he does.
And he's another one that has a strange name for their band. But he won't tell anybody why. So
arguably stranger.
Yeah. 15 years from now we'll know.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, thanks again, Steve. And we're looking forward to everything you have on the horizon.
Thank you so much.